What is up, everybody? John with Refinery Fragrances back for another video. Today we're going to be highlighting an indie house and talking about Rosé All Day by Gallagher Fragrances. Before we hop into the review, if this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider hitting subscribe and also hit the bell icon for notifications for any future uploads. Okay, so this fragrance was released in 2018 by Gallagher Fragrances, and the perfumer behind this, as well as all other fragrances by Gallagher Fragrance, is Daniel Gallagher. And this is a really awesome gourmand fragrance. And it took me by surprise because I am not a big gourmand lover. It's just not something that I typically gravitate towards. A lot of them, at least on my skin, tend to be fairly linear on me. And so after 6 or so hours of intense wearing, it just kind of grades on me. That's not the case with this. It stays linear, but there's something in there that allows it to project off my skin in a really pleasant way for me and for those around me. It just has this very appealing, boozy quality. It's a perfect fragrance for the holidays. Like, I just picked this up while I was visiting home for Christmas at Perfumology. Shout out to Perfumology. And I'm really loving it. So the notes on this are apple crisp, plum, dark rose, brown sugar, tonka bean, and stainless steel. So there is a fantasy note in there. And I was reading up on this fragrance. The stainless steel, I feel as though maybe it's less of a note that's in the fragrance, and it's more talking about what it was macerated in. So I went on Fragrantica and looked, and it looks like this was macerated in a stainless steel container. So that might be where that note is coming from, or where that accord is coming from. Not too sure. I don't pick up on the stainless steel a whole lot, but what I do pick up on that maybe separates it from some other gourmands for me is kind of this musky, like iso-y super type of a thing that goes on as it dries down. So when you first spray it on, it's this intense, boozy blast of apple and plum, and as it dries down, maybe 20 minutes later, you start to get the brown sugar that comes into play. Overall, it's just a very delectable, sweet fragrance that is extremely powerful. Let's talk about performance for a second. So I get 10 hours easily. I would say if you get it on clothes, you're talking, gosh, 15 hours. I feel like I woke up the next morning and still was getting whiffs of it. So this thing is no slouch. This comes in 2 sizes as well. I have so many fragrances, so I got the 1 ounce bottle, and honestly, this will last me a while. I do 2 sprays if it's a really cold day. I live in Nashville, so it's not, in the teens too often, but if it was really a bitter cold day, I might do 3 sprays, but honestly, I don't want to give myself a headache or choke myself out, and this stuff is just absolutely beastly. In terms of the price point, I think it's a fantastic price point. It's $95 for this 1 ounce. And right now on their website, the 3.4 ounce is going for $155, which is just a great deal. This is indie perfumery at its best. Daniel Gallagher killed this fragrance, and I cannot wait to acquire more fragrances from his line. I was able to smell more of his line at Perfumology and really did love every one that I smelled. Ultimately, because of the time of year, I wound up going with this to commemorate the occasion, and I'm really glad that I did. All right, really quickly, I will give you an up-close look at the presentation. So as you can see, Rosé All Day there on the front. It's got the note list on the front as well, and also that crest, which showcases Daniel Gallagher's Irish heritage. And then as you turn it, you can kind of see on the back sticker there on the inside, got a 3-leaf clover. And then on the back, there's some information. Eau de Parfum concentration, made in the United States of America. That is not something that I see often on fragrances. If you are a gourmand lover, you gotta give this a try. It's really incredible, thick, opulent, apple pie type of a thing. You get the plum in there, which is a nice contrast to the brown sugar that peeks through about 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes into the dry down. It's just a really phenomenal fragrance for gourmand lovers, and just a really well done composition. Some things that I could compare this to: Amber Narguilé by Hermes, Wajan by Parfums de Marly, and then recently by Kilian released a fragrance called Angel Share. This just has a very similar apple pie, spicy, boozy quality that is similar to those fragrances, but this does something a little bit different. And from my experiences with all the other fragrances I mentioned, this has far better performance. So for that, I highly recommend it. So my final rating for Rosé All Day, I would have to give this an 8 out of 10. I just think it's a fantastically done fragrance, really well blended, well executed. The performance is absolutely there. And it's just got a certain charm to it that I really love, especially for somebody who's not overly into gourmand fragrances, as I said. Yeah, this was just knocked out of the park. I docked it a couple of points just because there are a couple of different fragrances that I can relate this to, some similarities to some other ones, and so maybe it's not the most unique thing in the world, but because I own this, I won't probably wind up purchasing some of those other fragrances that I mentioned, just because I'm loving it. So those are my thoughts on Rosé All Day. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Like I said before, please consider hitting subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications for future videos, and we'll see you soon.